Next is the approval of agenda, and I think we have some additions. Commissioner Capshaw, do you have some additions to the agenda you'd like to make from the Highway Committee?
Yes, I wanted to make a motion that we, oh, wait, where is it? That we add to write a letter concerning the Anderson County Park. Is that the one that you wanted me?
Mm-hmm.
The Anderson County Park, to get the permit process started, to write a letter to Rick Scarborough and to TVA concerning getting permits to get the roads the road improved where it caved in. I think that's all that.
I think there's a couple of them, but we can just take it up under legislative, if that's okay.
Yes.
I have some things I need to add. If you finished?
Yes.
Okay. I'd like to move the following to unfinished business. There's a motion to move these. Telehealth for animals, Norris Water Treatment, Waste to Jobs Act, Rails to Trails, Bryceville Clean Water Update, Claxton Playground Update. Second.
Okay. You'll have to help me as we go, because I didn't write it down quick enough. But you want to move all that to unfinished business?
We talked about them all last month.
Yeah, okay. All right, any other, Commissioner Wandale?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So is the rule state that if we talked about it the month prior, that we have to put everything back under unfinished business?
Mm-hmm.
It does? Then when we get into the meeting, I'd like to make a rule, a motion to the Rule Committee to change that rule, because that makes zero sense to me. That's, what if I decided to make a motion in this meeting that was going to talk about the budget? Does that mean we're not going to talk about the budget next meeting and put it under unfinished business? Makes no sense to me. And plus, we have people here that drive almost 45 minutes to be here from the Rosedale community, and I don't think it's fair that they have to sit here to the end of the meeting just because maybe some of us think it's the right rule to do. Sometimes I think common sense plays a role, and I think we ought to allow at least, I can take the Claxton Park to the end. I'm used to Claxton Park getting kicked around and tore down. I can handle that business. But as far as the Rosedale, I'd like to see it stay up top, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. All right, we'll take a vote on,
Mr. Chairman, there's no sound on the line. I'm getting messages. Sound's not working.
is it where we're not speaking into the speak microphone? or-
That could be it. They just said there was no sound. So
Okay.
if it's- Yep.
We're having some side debate from parliamentarians.
Some operation. What's that?
I said we're having some side debate on parliamentarians.
Sure.
Yeah. Oh, Commissioner McCamey?
No, I'm good.
Okay. All right, so we'll vote on it as amended, and that moves everything to unfinished business, or we can vote that down and go back to the original. All in favor as amended, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
No. All the ayes raise their hand, please. 1, 2, 2 ayes, motion fails. So we'll stay as, okay. Now what about adding the highway discussion? Discussions came from the Highway Committee to the legislative. All in favor of that?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, we'll continue on. Appearance of citizens. Anyone like to speak to this committee, come forward, state your name, address, and if you have any handouts, you have to bring it to the chairman first. No derogatory statements are made towards any elected official, and always focus on the chairman, please. These are all the same?
Yes, they're all the same. They're all in packets. My name is Jennifer Jennifer Smith, and I live at 3853 Highview Lane. It's actually Knoxville, but it's Anderson County. So-
Everybody got one?
Not yet.
Within,
And you've got 3 minutes, so.
okay, so my name is
Once we get everything handed out.
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
My name is Jennifer Smith, and I am newly widowed. On December 5th, 2025, at 7:58 a.m., my entire world changed. My husband of 35 years, David Smith, only 53 years old, went into cardiac arrest in front of me. I was with him when he said he wasn't feeling well. I watched him pass out. And from that moment forward, I knew every second mattered. At 7:58 a.m., I called 911. At 8:05 a.m., I called again. I told the operator that Dave told me he had numbness in his chest and tingling in his left hand. I was assured EMS had been dispatched and was en route. At 8:17 a.m., during my third call, I was told EMS was still 8 minutes away. By then, my husband was retching in pain. He was dry heaving, he was drifting in and out of consciousness, and he was crying and begging me to look out the window to see if EMS was there. At 8:27 a.m., nearly 30 minutes after my first call, I had called 911 the final time. At this point in time, he had lost consciousness, his heart stopped, he stopped breathing, and I was in active CPR performing chest compressions. He knew he was dying. He looked at me just before he passed out that last time and said, "You're gonna have to do CPR." That's what I got from my husband just before he died. I continued CPR till EMS arrived at approximately 8:31 a.m. I live in the Emery Vista subdivision. This is off Emery Valley Road. The front half of the subdivision is Knox County. The back half, which is my road, is in Anderson County. On December 17th, so after everything, the shock of everything wore off, December 17th, I started reaching out to people saying, this isn't right. It shouldn't take 30 minutes for EMS to get here. So I was reaching out to people, and I've gotten into contact with Nathan Sweet. He's the director of EMS, Anderson County EMS, and we met on December 29th. This is when I learned that 8 a.m. is not the time to have an emergency, because that is when shift change happens. According to the CAD file I provided, which is in the packet, I highlighted 2 items, and in there it says at, I believe it was around 8:17, the third call, they said that they were still doing shift change. That was like 15 minutes after my first call to them. That was actually 8:16. It's nearly 20 minutes after my first 911 call. This is unacceptable. It's not fair to my husband. It's not fair to me. It's not fair to the people of Anderson County who rely on EMS to save lives. This is not an isolated concern. And thankfully, this was brought to my attention that there is another EMS call on the agenda for today. That's not my husband's. In 2018, EMS there was an operational and financial audit of the Anderson County EMS services. There were several serious concerns that were raised about staffing, readiness, and operational practices. This is also included in the packet. It's just a brief summary of the critical issues, in that one of the important things is to say that 90%, Anderson County is at that time, 90th percentile for 19 minutes arrival rate. That means if you call 911 and you live in Anderson County, expect them, 90% of those calls are gonna take 19 minutes for them to get there. So my husband deserved better than this. My community deserves better. No family should ever have to experience what I went through. Shift change should have never affected the length of time. Never. There's no reason. I work for a living. If I have an emergency at my place of work, I'm doing overtime and I'm doing everything that I can to get to where I need to be to make sure that we're successful. I'm here today because I refuse to let Dave's death be ignored. I'm asking for accountability, transparency, and meaningful change so that no one else has to pay the price that my husband had to pay. That's all.
Thank you, and we're very sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else come forward this committee as citizen for anything that's not on the agenda? I think, okay, go forward. Yeah, you can. Then we got,
I'm Robin Graham. I'm from Anderson County. I live at 109 Nathan Lane in Oak Ridge. First of all, I'd like to say to the woman who first spoke, my heart went out to her because I performed CPR on my mother as she was dying. It's a very hard thing. I appreciate, but it's hard to talk about after that, to talk about Tennessee Waste to Jobs Act, but that's what I'm here for. I'd like to address some of the concerns that were raised in the December council meeting, and in particular would like to address the 4-page background information that was in your 113-page packet that you all received. First, I realized there was concern as to whether or not the act could cause an inconvenience on local taxpayers by raising the cost of their goods. We all know there's no free lunch. Recycling does cost something. But this bill should not raise the cost of goods to our citizens in Anderson County. According to both university and government studies, places that have implemented Extended Producer Responsibility Act as posed by this bill have not seen an increase in the costs of the good. The bill is particularly structured to encourage product competition and to drive down the cost of packaging and the cost of recycling. Since all big producers have to participate, they have every incentive to keep their packaging costs down as they're still competing. Second, as you recognize, this act could increase recycling jobs, but the important thing about the act is it will create jobs in local industries in Tennessee, and that's kind of the unique thing. We have the companies in Tennessee that need the resources that recycling would produce. That's not the case for every state that's looking at this, but it is the case for Tennessee. I'd like to also, they asked the question, would there be any revenue for the state of, for Anderson County if this act was passed? You can't give the precise amount, but I can say right now you have a budget of $2.7 million for handling solid waste for the county. $25,000 of that is for recycling services. That would be paid for by the PRO in this case. The PRO would also, because it has a goal of increasing recycling, it would pay for additional supplements to convenience centers. And as you increase your recycling and reduce your packaging waste, it should make a dent on the $952,000 we're spending for landfill operations. I've read both of the two draft letters. I understand the concern about supporting a specific legislation because legislation can change and what may get passed may not be exactly what you thought it was. But I would hope that if you choose to adopt a more restrained support for it, that you would call out that Anderson County supports the concept of extended producer responsibility. Because I think if we don't, which is what this bill is, where the producers support the recycling industry and pay for their packaging. If If we don't get this, it's just going to be more of the same of small sums of money coming towards recycling, counties struggling. And in Tennessee, we could get 2 bangs for the buck. It's not just that we wouldn't be filling up landfills, but we could, it's estimated that we could get 6,000 new jobs by simply pulling out the $150 million worth of resources that we're currently landfilling and paying to landfill. So I would hope as you address your support letter that you would at least include the concept that you are supportive of extended producer responsibility. I do appreciate that you're reaching out to our state legislators and saying this is really an issue, we need you to look into that. I very much appreciate that, but I would hope that you would explicitly call out extended producers' responsibilities. I gave you 2 handouts. I don't know if they circulated all the way. One is just my estimate of what's really uniquely Tennessean about this bill. It's not the same bill as Oregon or California by any means. And the other thing is just some pictures that I took to give you just a visual of what EPR does for you. It's a picture of erasers that are being sold that were manufactured in Germany in very good recyclable packaging, and erasers also being sold by Staples. I'm a fan of Staples, but this was just such a perfect opportunity to pick the same item that it was basically packaged under EPR versus packaged without. Okay, thank you very much for your time.
There should be 1 packet for each.
Thank you, Tracy.
My name is Heather Kaiser. I'm from 193 Faust Lane in Lake City. I would just like to say good evening, Mayor and Commissioners, and I'm here tonight to formally update the Commission about what's going on with my TDA inspection and reports. I would like to thank the County Law Director as he met with myself and my attorney last week or week before to talk about these things, and I appreciate his willingness to listen and examine the evidence. Each of you has been provided a packet this evening. Included is the Tennessee Department of Agriculture inspection report of my farm along with supporting documentation. Due to the time constraints, I've highlighted the key findings and respectfully ask that you review these at your convenience. I want to clearly address my purpose for being here. My motives have been questioned. My motive is not personal. My motive is to protect my constitutional rights and the rights of every livestock owner in Anderson County, and to ensure that county officials understand and follow laws governing the livestock. The TDA inspection clearly documents the following. My goat was found to have an ideal body condition score of 3. The alleged injury was documented by animal health inspector as a scrape. There was no evidence of neglect, cruelty, or distress, and most importantly, the inspection shows there was no probable cause for the removal of my livestock from my property. All of this is clearly documented in the packet you received. You will also find in the packet a document alleged to be a note left by Director McKenna at the time my goat was taken. No such note was ever left on my property or my neighbor's property. Additionally, the time listed on the note was 3 p.m. on December 5th, and it does not align with the facts as the goat was not removed at that time. The packet includes my son's documented clock-in time at the gym. He arrived at 4:51 p.m. The gym is an 18-minute drive from my property. Immediately before leaving, my son moved the goat along the fence line as he was getting into his car. His verified arrival time establishes that the goat was still on my property at the time listed on the alleged note from Director McKenna. Based on these facts, I believe the note appears to be falsified. I would also like to note that the complaint filed with the Tennessee Department of Agriculture by Director McKenna, which I found out when I got the report was filed by him, was submitted the same day I retrieved my goat and refused to sign documents or pay fees to the animal shelter. Given the timing and the findings of the TDA inspection, that complaint appears to be retaliatory in nature. I would further note that the packet before you documents that filing a false report with the Tennessee Department of Agriculture is a felony under Tennessee law. This is not a minor issue, and it is directly relevant. County officials acting in an official capacity should be held to a higher standard and should not be permitted to violate constitutional rights, disregard state laws, and continue to exercise their authority without accountability. Since these events, I have filed reports with the Anderson County Sheriff's Office for trespassing, vandalism, and theft, and I have requested this matter be investigated by the Tennessee Department of Agriculture Ag Crimes and be referred to the district attorney. In closing, I respectfully request that this commission consider a motion to place Anderson County Animal Control and the Animal Shelter under administrative and independent review, including a comprehensive evaluation of policies, procedures, chain of authority, reporting requirements, and commission oversight, and to require commission review and approval of leadership and key operational decisions, pending the outcome of the ongoing investigations, with findings and recommendations formally reported back to this commission to ensure compliance with Tennessee laws, constitutional protections, and limit to county liability. You have a copy of the motion I'm requesting that someone present to the commission on the first page, back of the first page of your packet. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Kaiser. Mr. Brooks, I understand that you met with her attorney.
Ms. Kaiser and two of her attorneys.
Okay, do you have any directions for this body?
I do not at this time. We're still investigating.
Okay, all right, so maybe next month or,
Absolutely.
okay. All right, anyone else come before this committee under appearance of citizens? Seeing none, we'll move on. Next is the intergovernmental telehealth for animals. The constituents and people from all over the county that I've met with before about this, I've sent them some information that we've got before, haven't got the feedback on it yet. So hopefully we'll have something next month from everybody that's seen what the mayor gave out and see if there's a direction that we can ask our state legislators to maybe accommodate a little bit more. Has anybody got anything on that? The next is the legislature discuss any bills we'd ask state representatives to support. That's what we've talked about before.
Chairman, do we need to make a motion to defer that to next month? Is that when you want to take it back up?
Yes, let's do that.
And I'll make a motion to defer that to February's
The
operation.
telehealth for animals. Okay. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, Commissioner Wandell. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, we're back to legislative. Discussing any bills would ask state representative support. We've talked about several things over the last few months. Any suggestions? Ms. Capshaw?
I wanted to, from the Highway Committee, get from this body an approval to send a letter to State Representative Rick Scarborough concerning getting a TVA permit, concerning applying for TVA permits concerning the Anderson County shoreline and getting a pot of money, well, grants to try to get that project.
We'll need to send it to both representatives.
Okay, Ed Butler too?
Ed Butler,
Okay.
'cause that's actually
Both.
his district there
Okay,
in Andersonville, but we'll send it to both because they work
Okay.
together really well. All right. See, it was expediting that, the permits.
Is that a motion that you were making?
yes.
Second.
Okay, got a motion to second. Okay. All right, what else do we have coming to the Highway Committee that was going to ask the state to look at? Funding?
Oh, yes. We also wanted to get a letter sent to TVA to see if we could get grant money to help with the repairing the shoreline,
Okay.
specifically to TVA.
All right, and you're going to ask the mayor and our state representatives for that?
Yes.
Okay. That's a motion.
Is that the same motion?
No, it's a
Or do you
different
need
one.
two separate? Well, then
It's
we
two
do-
separate
Be
ones.
two separate ones. Yeah.
One's for the
We need to vote on
permitting and
first.
one's for the, getting the money that TVA has allocated that we could possibly
Do you want
get.
to just put those together?
That's fine.
Yeah, because it's
I'm
coming out
fine
of the
separating, we
highway.
just need to vote on the first one. if
Yeah,
we're-
we'll just put them together.
I'm good with that on the second.
All right.
Okay.
Any discussion?
Who's going to prepare the letter?
That would be, I guess, for you and the mayor to work that out. I guess a letter from both of y'all. Is that the way that you understood it coming out of Highway
Yes.
Committee? Yeah, and all this just happened coming out of Highway Committee. And because of the condition of the Park Road, we need to move expeditiously as possible. So that's why we're bringing it to operation so then we can get it on to full commission, because getting that done while the water's down is real important. Mayor?
I didn't know it was gonna be on here. I would have brought a letter, but I do have, it's been a while back, but TVA did say, I guess whatever the normal procedures are for the 26A permit, because this was an emergency repair, that could go ahead and go forward. I don't have the exact language. I'll send that to Mr. Brooks, but I did get that in writing from them. I have asked prior about shoreline. I mean, we can ask again. I know TVA is mentioned in the 7-state region, the miles of shoreline, and that they do not have a fund for that, but we can certainly ask again.
Yeah, I think Nick Val was gonna work on that too, with Gary Long's office as well, the road superintendent, if that's correct.
Yes.
Okay. And then, you know, the monetary figure could be up to as much as $500,000 to repair that. So that's what, you know, that was just some numbers that came out. So we want to move as quick as possible. And I think if I remember correct, Commissioner Wandell, is we talked about even if we funded it from the county, is to ask TVA to repay.
Yeah, I mean, it's an idea that was floated around. I don't know if we can, but, you know, it seems to be a very important to keep the roadway open to the park. And Chairman Palmer mentioned and indicated in the meeting that there's several major tournaments coming up at this year that, you know, they would like, the Conservation Board would like to see it addressed too. So I think it all makes sense. I don't know how we can get it funded. I don't know if, I understand TVA never has funding for much available, and that's kind of the mantra that always comes about. And but I would say that maybe the state, Representative Scarborough, because I guess, Mr. Chairman, my question is, the Anderson County Conservation Board is a separate entity that the mayor oversees, and this isn't a political thing. This is just saying that we have an advantage, in my opinion, that the mayor could utilize with the state or TVA to get some funding potentially for the Conservation Board, because it is a privately set up entity within the state. I think there's only 7 in the entire state conservation boards, and Anderson County is one of them. So I think the intent here is for us to approach all the entities we can to see if we can obtain funding as quickly as we can so we can fix that road quickly.
Correct, I understand that. Yeah. Mayor?
Just a clarification, I don't oversee the Conservation Board, so they are their own statutory board that has their own authorities, but I do appoint the members.
Yeah.
I stand corrected, she does point.
All right, now, one of the other things that we had was about the boundary lines that we talked about in Highway Committee back in, because this is all TVA property, right?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it seems like it was 2010, 2012. McCamey, you might remember when Jay Yeager was our law director, we didn't even have the 200 acres deeded to the county. We got it in 1967. I think it was Michael Foster's grandpa that got it done back then, and it was over 200 acres that was given to us. And when we got to looking, when I was on the Conservation Board, we didn't even have it in the records here in the county. So I guess the discussion was, could we look at that deed and see what it says, and would there be any opportunity to leverage that deed based on what it says to maybe help get some funding again to get that fixed?
Absolutely. If it's excuse me, if it's TVA's property now, you know, shouldn't they be responsible? I guess that's the question. But, you know, the biggest thing is getting it fixed as fast as we can.
Yes.
Any other discussion on the motion, or the two motions together? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, next mayor's report.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, yes.
I'm sorry. If I could suggest another item to be added for the legislative committee
Okay,
to
sure.
consider. I know there's a couple of bills that may be coming up in this session that deal with the possible construction of a mental health facility in the East Tennessee area. There is a misnomer in our county at this point that we don't have a mental health facility in Anderson County. Let me assure everyone in this room, we have a mental health facility in Anderson County. It's located at 308 Public Safety Lane. And it was never built nor intended to be a mental health facility, but unfortunately, with the closing of Lakeshore a few years ago, that forced the responsibility of dealing with a lot of the folks who are suffering from mental illness to be arrested and incarcerated. So we wind up dealing with them a lot on the county jail level. I think the Knox County Senator out of Knox County is working on getting funding for that. I know a study was done maybe a year and a half ago. And like I said, double check me on this. I think there is a bill that may be coming up this year, but I would love for our legislative body to pass a resolution of support for them to strongly consider, the state, to strongly consider building another mental health facility in the East Tennessee area to replace the one that we haven't had in years in Lakeshore. Right now, our options are maintaining them in our county jail or transporting them to Moccasin Bend down in Chattanooga. And while we do receive grant funding to help offset some of those costs, it's still a burden that the county taxpayers are having to pay since the state no longer operates one of that size in East Tennessee.
Okay. Can we get someone from this committee to make a motion for that, and maybe the law director could? By Commissioner Barron, seconded by
I second.
Commissioner Capshaw. Okay. And that's something that you can speak with the law director about?
Yes, sir. We've spoken about it a few times before already. I just heard that on the agenda this evening and thought that'd be a good opportunity.
It is, yeah, absolutely.
Add a little bit more
Are you good
oomph
with
to
that?
it.
Absolutely. Okay. Mayor?
There's one more item under the legislative, could I add it?
Sure.
This body has endorsed it before via resolution, but if we're gonna be writing letters, it's that real estate transfer tax.
Yep.
That's not a new tax, it's an existing one. We would just be asking the state for part of those funds back. And what we would get back would be 50% would go to road infrastructure, and then the other could be used either for debt service or capital projects for the county. And that still is an ongoing effort in the legislature to get that
Is that the
accomplished.
resolution 2601, 1247?
I don't know, we have passed one in the past.
Yeah, I
I don't
think
have a
I'll
current
make a
one.
motion that we send back the same resolution, because
Okay.
if the bill number's continuing over, right, it got carried
I
over.
think so, yeah.
Vote on the mental health one instead.
Yeah. Now, let's do the mental health first. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. All right, Mayor?
I'll make that motion to support that same
Same as before.
resolution and legislation for previous year.
Okay. Have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Wandell. Any discussion on that motion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The next item is, the first is I'm requesting a motion to approve Resolution 2601-1247. This would include the attached exhibits authorizing the county mayor and the delinquent tax attorney to file for relief with the court on a property purchased at a tax sale. This property is known as the Hoskins Oil Company LLC, or doing business as Purnell Distributors property. Something that we may, I know Commissioner Isabel, I have discussed this with you, as the city of Rocky Top does have an interest in the property. What we could do is maybe pass the motion approving this, but not making it effective until next month, and then that could give me time to further work with the city of Rocky Top on any kind of environmental liabilities. Or if you would somehow give me the authorization, I guess let me explain my concerns. Under the law, we do have 120 days from the date of entry of the order for the sale. And that date was November 6, 2025. But I also have to be able to notify the delinquent tax attorney in time for him to do a motion and get everything filed. I think we would be safe waiting until February. And I mean, I'm even open to deferring it to next month if you think that's a safer path. I did get some information on Friday that property I've explained to you before, I was looking at some of the environmental issues. It did get a permanent closure report on May 4th, 2023, and then it had a revised permanent closure report, and as well as a monitoring well abandonment report. And the analytical results do not indicate petroleum contamination above the applicable initial screening levels in the soils and the groundwater sampled. So they pulled out the tanks. One of the things in the memo from TDEC, though, is it did say if soils are excavated and removed from the site for use at another location, the Division of Solid Waste Management must be contacted regarding the proper disposal and/or use of those soils. They basically say it requires no further action at this time. However, unless new information is discovered substantially changing the facts as they know them today. So that's good, but also when you look at the property, there is there's several encumbrances. I think some are from the city of Rocky Top, but then there is a judgment in favor of TDEC that's recorded in book 1796, page 370, a judgment in favor of Carl Swisher, and then an order of the administrative hearing officer of the city of Rocky Top, and then a notice of lien, and I'd have to defer to Mr. Brooks on how to pronounce it, lease pendens?
Lienless pendens, there's evidently a lawsuit pending
Okay.
that deals with the land, and that's to put everybody on notice that the land is in a lawsuit.
So it may be that we don't.
I'm
Oh.
gonna make a motion that we approve the resolution, but send it to the February commission meeting. That gives the mayor time to have the conversations with, so it doesn't come back to the committee then. Because full commission's got to take action on it too.
Yeah.
And this gets it out of the committee. It's something that we want to do, I would think, relieving this county, but it gives her time to communicate with Rocky Top. That'll be my motion.
Okay.
Instead of deferring it this month, though, we'll just take it up at full commission in February. If that's okay with everybody.
Second.
Have a motion, have a second. Before we take a vote on that, the TDEC cost will never go away. Somebody will have to pay those. Is that correct?
I don't know, that would be a legal question for Mr. Brooks, and I can get this to him. I just got the letter Friday from TDEC, so.
Yeah, because that's, no matter who gets the property, you know, that's gonna be very important.
Yeah.
Because that could be astronomical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what happens to the property, so, you know, if Commissioner Foster's motion passes, you know, I don't have to act, but it gives me the authority to act. But if there is movement and something to bring back, I don't have to go ahead and execute that resolution and ask, or not execute the resolution. I don't have to ask the delinquent tax attorney to file the motion.
Yeah.
It gives us that time. But something else, I did ask, like, what happens? We don't take ownership. It would just go back into the next tax sale. So that would give us opportunity to even work a little bit longer on it. That's just something that is a possibility as well.
I know the city's very interested in it. It's an eyesore. And if it's cleaned up properly, I mean, it'd be really good retail property for
Absolutely.
the city and for the county.
Yeah.
Okay. We got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Okay, the next is requesting a motion to approve Resolution 2601-1246 for the acceptance of the proposal of TDOT to construct a project designated as, and that's in your agenda packet, I won't read that over. The law director has reviewed this. The road superintendent, highway superintendent, Mr. Long, is currently reviewing. You may want to put this off until next month. I mean, it is a pretty big project, State Route 170. The proposal is in your package. It does involve the county accepting many responsibilities. For instance, once there's final completion many years out, we would be responsible for the sidewalks, we would be responsible for the lights. There's, you know, we're agreeing to, which is part of any normal project, this project taking any county property that's just strictly for right-of-way, There are a few things like that, but that's completely up to you if you want to pass it pending the road superintendent's approval, or if you want to give it another 30 days to sit out there for people to review the maps and the resolution.
And that's known as the Edgemore Road Project.
Yes,
correct?
yes, yes.
I'll make a motion to defer to February's Operations Committee.
Okay.
And I'm gonna second that.
Okay, motion is second. Any discussion?
Yes.
Commissioner Wandell?
Thank you. Mayor, where can the people review this information?
We have, and we did put that in the agenda, so we printed out a big set of plans like this that we put in the commission office. I've got one available in the mayor's office, just out in a basket, for people to look at. The highway superintendent has a copy, and if you want to put one somewhere else, we just did not have the capability to get it somewhere on the web for people to see, so.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd like to get and you said there's a copy in the commission room?
Yes, sir.
I'd like to get a copy of that. I'll get with Annette and get a copy, but I think all of us commissioners should have one to review and really study it if we have time. Did you see anything in there, Mary, that concern you other than what you've already mentioned?
Well, I mean, there's some things that I don't understand that I would have to defer to Mr. Long on. There are some, I think, my understanding would be it's some standard language dealing with movement of utilities. Trying to think anything else that. So,
Perhaps-
these are like, for an example, this would be something for the highway superintendent. The county will maintain any frontage road to be constructed as part of the project. After the project is completed and open to traffic, the county will accept jurisdiction and maintenance such parts of any existent department highway to be replaced by the project as shown in the map. Those are gonna be some things that, that's not my field of expertise, and I would lean on him to kind of analyze some of that. And we can also, if we need to, even reach out to TDOT. They just sent this. I felt I needed to bring it because they are asking for action. We can reach out to TDOT. We could also have an independent engineer help us look through this if we like as well.
Okay. I know there's not discussion on deferment, but this is just for public knowledge. Anything else?
I just had a question. With that map, there's a more in-detailed map, I thought, that was on TDOT's site where you can look up this project, where it's in color, where you can actually zoom in and see. I'll find that link and I'll send it to you. Maybe we could put it on our county website if people, can't get into that. They can actually click in and see and zoom in closer to their own property if they want to look.
Yes,
I'll find that link.
They have a complete project page for that route that has everything from public hearings to environmental assessments, everything on there, and a place to ask questions.
My bad, sorry. I know I made the motion to defer, but I think I'm gonna change my motion to refer this to the Highway Committee. If the second's okay with
That is fine with me.
I know you're the chairwoman of that,
chairwoman.
so I think that way, if you all have any questions for.
I think that's good.
For,
That's better.
For Gary, that y'all could ask and then bring it back, and he still can come back here next month, but I'm gonna change that motion to refer it to Highway Committee.
Okay. And by the way, Commissioner Capshaw is chairman of that
That's
committee.
what I thought.
Yeah.
I knew she'd like that motion.
Yeah. Okay. And she's okay with that? So the motion is to refer it to the Highway Committee. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll get all of that sent to them. The next was just strictly a status update. So at the last meeting, there were questions about the Norris Water Treatment Plant, and that where they were looking at some particular properties, and I think they had some flags on properties as maybe potential locations. I did reach out to Mayor Chris Mitchell. He connected me with the Norris Water Superintendent Tony Wilkerson regarding questions around the location of potential sewer lines. Superintendent Wilkerson did note that there are no final plans. He stressed that nothing is in concrete. This is a planning process. He said they are looking at potential plans for the future. Any and all citizens who may have a question are welcome to reach out to him directly. He said he will personally answer any question. Regarding infrastructure location concerns, again, he noted nothing is final. And regarding the potential planning, I did confirm this particular planning project is part of a grant award to the city of Norris. So that award is a $3.37 million grant from TDEC and their SWIG program for a sewer regionalization planning study and design for Northeast Anderson County. The grant is managed by Norris, and the city of Norris financially matched that grant with a $177,500 contribution. The grant is exploring ways that may be mutually beneficial to ACWA as well as CUB as systems look to improve service to citizens. And so for an example, ACWA sends wastewater from North Anderson County a very long way to the CUB treatment facility, and I know that's kind of at the end of our agenda. But for instance, if Norris built a sewer treatment facility, maybe ACWA would have an interest in connecting to that particular facility. It would send the sewer a shorter rate, save money, minimize some of the issues, but those are just things that they are looking at.
I think the constituents that were here, 2 months ago, they're at the Norris meeting tonight. They meet tonight, so that's where they're at. And I think what their biggest concern is a less invasive approach or route to, they understand it's got to be done, but there's a less invasive way to do it without crossing over so much private property. But, thank you, Mayor.
Absolutely.
And I'll just add that I talked to some engineers on the project, and it, just for the record, it's not a waste sewer treatment plant. It is a discharge line of clean water that's been treated, would be, from my understanding of the project, that was in the area of the people that were here last week's concern. There was not going to be a plant built on their property.
Yeah.
That it'd
Just be the
expansion.
discharge.
It'd be a discharge line from the water that's been treated, so just
Okay.
thought I'd put that out there.
That's good
All right.
information.
Anything else on that? Okay, Mayor?
Okay, the next is the letter for Waste to Jobs Act. I included the original proposed draft letter. That may be something you all as commissioners just want to proceed with. I did offer a substitute alternative that still supports the importance and consideration of the legislative effort, but it does not commit to full support of the current legislation wording before there are amendments and debates. So I just put that in there. That's completely up to you. The changes I made, you would note in that letter, are just stopping short of full support, but definitely keeping the language about what that pro does and all the other language of Mr. Brooks's letter. So that was just something I offered as an alternative.
Okay. Are you seeking any action on that?
I mean, it's just, I don't think you all have approved a letter, so you may want to just proceed with what you originally had. I think at the last meeting, I expressed some of my own concerns, where I would not want personally to sign on as full support, because there were a few questions. One, with legislation, as Ms. Graham said, it can change. And the other thing I had a couple of, I think I pointed out last time that there is a section in there, and I understand there's some reasoning for it, but it does talk about there would be some immunity from liability under state laws relating to antitrust, restraint of trade, unfair trade practices, as they're setting up the arrangement of collection, recycling, composting, all of those things with the pro. And I personally really appreciate the legislation. I definitely support a look at it, but also it is a civil penalties-based system. And I know there are arguments for, okay, can we do this and maybe flip the script and make it an incentive-based program instead of a civil penalty-based program. there are some things like that I think they're going to be vigorously debated in the legislature. And so I just didn't want to get locked into, here's the bill, and yeah, I'm all in. So that's why I just offered an alternative.
Okay.
I want to make a motion that we send both letters, because I think full commission asked us to send it back so we get a second one. And I say we just send them full commission, and we'll make a decision on Monday as a group. 'Cause I think that's kind of what I think people wanted to see, an alternate letter. So
Yep.
I'll make that motion.
Okay. Do we have a second? Second by Commissioner McCamey. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Okay, and then the last item, there are some policy changes to the employee handbook, and I believe Drew is here somewhere. Drew? Oh, okay. If you have some extensive questions. And I do want to point out that this went through 2 meetings, these changes. So we had a November 14th, 2025 meeting of the HR Advisory Committee, and we had 100% attendance. So every member of that committee was in attendance and recommended these changes, and for the law director to review and firm up any policy language. And then those were all approved at the December 19th, 2025 meetings, and they're in your agenda packet, and we can walk through them one by one, or we can entertain a motion to approve A through F as presented in your packet.
Okay. What's the pleasure of this committee?
I make a motion to approve A through F.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Seconded by, who is the second? Commissioner McCamey. Discussion. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. All right. Thank you, Drew. Next is Law Director's report.
I think we can move pretty quickly. I will note, we are in the process of reformatting our report. So please give us any feedback as we go. I don't really have anything of note there, except in the status of lawsuits, there's a couple of things that happened after we went to press last Wednesday. Item 2, which is the Zayo case, we actually heard, it was actually heard last Friday in front of Judge Kelly Thomas. He has it under advisement at this time, so I don't have the outcome of that. And then also, Friday, a new lawsuit came on the radar, which is Smith versus Anderson County and Danny Phillips. That is what's called a mandamus suit. It has to do with the interpretation of the zoning ordinance. And it has been forwarded to insurance for them to look at for coverage.
And that would be for another attorney to look at it?
Yes,
Okay.
if it's something that they will cover, I doubt it is, but if it is, they would provide counsel.
Okay. All right. Any questions from the law director or for the law director? Seeing none, we'll move on. Rails to Trails and New River.
Mr. Chair, I'm sorry, I apologize. I thought you were just meaning on that specific subject. Jamie, a question I have, we talked about this maybe once or twice, but how could this body, county commissioners, meet with City of Oak Ridge council people where we could just have an open discussion, open dialogue? Is that possible, and what would be the process to do that?
That would be in the nature of a workshop, correct? Where
Mhm.
you had representatives from both entities meeting and exchange ideas, but not deliberate or come to any decision. It's probably as simple as getting everybody's, finding out who is going to appear for both sides and get a workshop scheduled and then advertise it.
Would we be allowed to have the mayors attend if they wanted to?
Yeah.
I mean, since we merged the intergovernmental relations into this body, this committee, I think it would be appropriate for us to make the motion out of this committee to make that request. I know it's not on the agenda, so I won't belabor that fact, but maybe under unfinished business, I'll bring it up, but not at this moment. But you see no legal issues with that? Okay, thank you.
No.
Thank you.
Do not. Before we move on, we had down the solicitors, revamping the solicitor's permit, and Chad's here to speak on that, I believe.
Okay. The revisions to permits allowing 501c3s
Yes,
and
that's
for
it.
corporations to solicit funds at roadblocks. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Last month, this body asked me to work with the Law Director's Office on this issue. I have done that, and Commissioner Wendell as well. And just for those at home and maybe people that don't remember, we've had a major problem out at Edgemore Road for a long time regarding groups soliciting donations. A lot of those groups, or some of those groups, I should say, were out of town. They weren't following safety protocol. We were really concerned that someone was going to get hurt out there. So what we've got for this body to consider is two plans of action, like a Plan A and a Plan B. Plan A is a complete revision of the current code. It's going to make it safer, more accountable, and more efficient. Some of the changes we made, and again, this plan is much more stringent. It's got more oversight and accountability than the current code that we had. Some of the changes would be, it's got to be a 501c3 status with the IRS, which was probably there before, but in total enforcement of that. Locals only, so you have to have physically located a chapter in Anderson County. You got to show that the money that's being solicited benefits Anderson County as well. So we're doing this for local groups. You got to comply with all safety guidelines. One of the big changes is you have to be 18 years old or over. So no more children out there doing this practice. Everyone's got to be able to pass a background check. And again, I'm just hitting the high points that should be in your packet. Crimes that would disqualify people from participating in this would be theft, financial crimes, crimes against children, sexual crimes, and the Sheriff's Department also retains the right to consider any other crimes that pose a threat to public safety. And also these departments, the Sheriff's Department, THP, and the Fire Department also reserve the right to just stop it if they see any unsafe practices. So that's a real crackdown as far as what the work that the Law Director's Office has done on this. They also updated the process. We've cut the number of visits from government offices from 3 to 2. The way this would start now, we're also adding an online application which did not exist before. So the process would begin with someone applying online. That application you have to have your 501c3 status on that, your date and times requested, and a complete list of people that are participating. That would go to the circuit court clerk's office. They would have to appear there for a background check. There is no fee for the background check. One of the things, and correct me if I'm wrong, this background check is only for Anderson County.
Yeah, it is only Anderson County.
That's a problem, and I want to address that in Plan 2 real quickly, but we're just going to know if they've committed crime in Anderson County. We wouldn't know in other places, which I think is important. But there's no way of doing that without a fee. So there is no fee on that under this plan. The results are then sent to the sheriff. They sign off on it. And eventually, you go get your permit at the zoning office. That's the second trip to the government office. Again, the weakness with this plan, I did want to present it because a lot of work was put in on it. And I really want to brag on our law director's office on that. It's a very detailed plan. I think the weakness of this, if you do decide to go with this, is, again, the background check's just limited to Anderson County. And although they do sign a liability waiver when they go to the zoning office, if someone, gets ran over, I'm sure that's not going to stop someone from filing a lawsuit against Anderson County. That's something to consider. Option 2, I'll be brief, is just an outright ban of this practice. The community, to me, has provided overwhelming feedback. They just do not want this practice anymore in our county. I've called around and tried to do a survey with Knox County, the city of Knoxville, Knox County, and Oak Ridge. When you call and you ask to talk about a solicitor's permit with the zoning offices, that also includes stuff like door-to-door sales. So they were talking about that, and I said, no, roadside blockage. They acted like I was crazy, that we were still entertaining this because it's so dangerous. So when you look around and then no one else is doing it, I think you should kind of scratch your head as far as why we're doing it. The feedback I got for wanting to keep it is there are groups like the Shriners and baseball teams, et cetera, that do this. They do it the right way. We obviously want to support our nonprofits. I've had, when we met with the law director, we had a conversation with Commissioner Wandell about maybe making the Claxon Optimus Club available, making places like the old Kmart parking lot where they do car shows available for these groups so people can safely pull off with signage and make donations. And I would say, you know, there are obviously baseball teams and Shriners and places in Knox County, City of Oak Ridge that do not do this, so it's not necessarily required. So I appreciate you hearing me out. Again, option one would be revising this, moving forward, and again, a lot of work was put into that, so I did want to present that. Option two would just be a ban. That is what I support as a representative of that district. So I'd be happy to entertain any questions. I know I've talked a lot, but that's what we came up with.
Commissioner Wandell?
Commissioner McNabb covered it very well. I don't know if this body wants to take action tonight. I mean, I'm kind of with Commissioner McNabb as far as the feedback I've gotten from the district is it's just unsafe, and we got all this road construction coming and the school being built. I'd be in favor of just banning it outright. But if this body and the commissioners want to keep it, I just want to go forward with number one, then with the revisions.
Is your,
I would support that.
I'm sorry, go
I was
ahead.
gonna say, is that a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to ban it.
Second.
I think most everybody's gonna be in agreement with that. Any other discussion, Commissioner McCamey?
I've got one question, and it's, does the state, what's the state say about it? I mean, it being a state road, actually a US 25W, and Edgemore being a state road, does the state have any say that where they could come back and say, no, we want to allow this?
That was a question I asked of the law director, and they indicated that we were in our full authority to do that.
There's a, we were looking at Tennessee Code Annotated 3917-307, was talking about blocking public ways, and the whole genesis of the solicitor's ability to do that is in that statute, and it pretty much tracks what Commissioner McNabb said as far as safety, limiting it to 501c3 and 4 corporations. So,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I might add that they may own the roadway there, but we own the light. We are responsible for the light. We maintain the light, so I think we'll have a little leg there as far as I'm concerned.
Any other discussion? All in favor of banning it, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimous.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Commissioner McNabb. Mr. Chairman, I had one other item I wanted to address real quick. I know it's not on the agenda, but I do also want to express my condolences to Ms. Smith. Ms. Smith, myself, and Commissioner McNabb are District 1. Sorry that you went through that situation. I do know that our EMS in Anderson County would never want that situation to happen. I just want to say this, Mr. Chairman. I feel like over the years we had a mutual aid agreement in place once upon a time with Knox County on that end, based on our lack of ability to cover it as quick as we need to sometimes. And I would have just asked that if the law director could look into that. I don't know if the mayor has any paperwork at all on that, but I recall a mutual aid agreement at one time that we had with
Rural Metro.
yeah, Rural Metro up that way. It might have even been Carnes.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to have the law director look into that mutual aid agreement and see if it exists. That's my motion.
Okay.
I'll second.
Do I have seconded by Commissioner Capshaw? Any discussion on that motion? Mayor?
And I don't know if Nathan is here, but I do know that he was having some meetings too to kind of look into that and.
Yeah, he's here.
Oh, he may want to, do you want to speak on that, Nathan? But he's kind of got your thought process, Commissioner.
I'm not aware of any MOU that's been had with Knox County. If that was pre-existing to me, I don't have any copies of it.
Yeah,
I do know that Claxton Volunteer Fire Department created an MOU for Eddie Kimball Lane back in either 2014 or 2018. I have a document on that. But any other roads, no. We've had some MOUs, Cove Road, I think down in Oliver Springs, that's actually Morgan County, but we cover that because of where it's located. Obviously, the agreement that we have with Roane County and the area we cover there. There was also an agreement for Point 19 with Union County to cover part of it. With Campbell County, there's part of Rocky Top that's in Campbell County, and the city has requested that we cover all of the city. So we cover part of that. But I'm not aware of any agreements. I've not been made of. But I do have a meeting with Carnes and Knox County 911 and Anderson County 911 to look at all the roads that Carnes, not just Eddie Kimball, but there's several that you have to dip into Knox County to get back into to see if they have any interest on that. And then obviously, that's not a decision that I make. I was invited to this meeting, so I didn't schedule it, but I'd get with the chief of Claxton and see if that's something he wants to do, see if he wants to create an MOU with them and go from there.
Mr. Chairman, and I appreciate it, Nathan, I would be in support of anything that would provide a more secure service. And again, it's nothing against your team or anything. It's just, it's a lot closer, I think, for them to make that service call than it is for us. And so I would be in support whatever you might come back with, and I'm certain Claxton will join in whatever you see and the mayor sees that might need to be done, okay?
Understood.
Okay, thank you.
You know, I think it's a great idea, Commissioner, because at the far outreaches of our whole county, even in, Devonia and Morgan County, I mean, what can we do there as well?
Well, I did, to answer that, Chairman, I did reach out to Morgan County about that before.
Yep.
We get up into the tip of New River, it's actually better for our Oliver Springs truck to go into Morgan County and drive up the backside. It's quicker to get to those calls, but I did ask them if they'd ever have any interest, could we do an MOU that they would basically auto aid, that they would take over that response, and they said no.
I think we talked about that a couple of years ago when we had that meeting over in New River.
Yeah, they didn't want to. If we didn't have an available unit and we needed assistance from mutual aid, we could request it, but they didn't want to take over primary response for it.
Okay. All right, so we've got a motion and a second.
Mr.
All in, Commissioner McCamey.
It comes back to this agreement we had with all of the fire departments and the rescue squad and all that. We had a plan where they would provide first response. And we in turn bought an ambulance every year, a fire truck every year, and even a rescue truck for the rescue squad. That agreement is no more.
Right.
So there's no first response. And I would like to ask that the fire departments come back and the rescue squad with a plan of what it would take to get them to get back into the first responder business. They're not required to do that now. We let that resolution die after 10 years. So we don't have anything in writing now that would require the fire departments or anybody else to do any first responder. And I feel that's very important. They're in the communities already. Our ambulances are running back and forth into Knox County, transporting people. I was there for 26 years, and I know what it's like when you've got 4 ambulances and you've got 5 calls. We need first responders, and we need to come up with something in order to entice them to get back into this program, being first responders.
Okay.
Just quick on that, I want to make sure everybody does know that we do have a first responder program, And every fire department except for one currently still participates in the first responder program. Medford does not, but all of the others still participate and still respond. The volunteers is more so when they're available, obviously, right? That's not a paid department. Those people have paying jobs, and there are times that they can't respond. But we still do have a first responder program. But I do agree, I think, with the precipice that Director McCamey is saying is, can we find ways to bolster that with those departments? Can we find ways to support those departments to be able to provide that a little bit more, to give maybe an additional incentive for their departments? There are incentives currently, but can we improve that it makes it for their department and their personnel in their department to more want to be able to do that, to be more available, to get volunteers in their department, not just for EMS for sure, but for fire and the fire response that they're going to have. Absolutely. And honestly, when we go to meet with Carnes, I mean, are they going to do just EMS or EMS and fire? I imagine it'd probably be both, but that obviously will be up to the chiefs to decide that. But I just want to make sure everybody that's listening knows that we still have one, and most all the departments are still participating.
Commissioner Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I support Commissioner Wendell's motion. Nathan, while you're up here, I just wanted to follow up. It sounded like besides the response time, there was maybe an issue with the shift change. Is that an issue? Do we have a policy as far as covering shift change or?
Yes, so there were some, I'm not going to get into all the details of, but there were some corrections to be made, adjustments to be made that we have implemented. So we are looking at, is there a policy to try and write to create that? Do we put some extra practices in places? But we did make some changes already to address that, but I'm working to finalize all of the information that I have from that specific event.
Thank you.
Okay, let's vote on this motion first. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimous. Now, Commissioner McCamey, do you want to put something on operations next month to discuss this?
I think it ought to go to the fire departments, and let them,
Fire committee?
we've got a couple of commissioners that serve on that, and let them, find out what it would take. I agree with Nathan, the majority of them are still doing that, but they're not required to.
But, the situation with Medford, the reason why they're not doing it is because we don't have anybody. The guy that we had got hurt out cutting down a tree, so everybody knows that story.
Yeah.
So, so that's something we need to address, is what can we do to help the fire departments
Yeah.
as far as first responders.
Yeah.
So, maybe something to come out of fire committee. Commissioner Wendell.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that, when we look at our property taxes and we pay our property taxes and you see all the different departments we pay into and where the money kind of goes to, school, sheriff, EMS, whatever it may be, the one thing that's missing is fire protection. We we do the best we can, and some of us will get upset because we'll take $300,000 or $400,000 out when we can, if we have it, to fund them, and then sometimes we might only fund them, the 26.5. But at the end of the day, we need to be better stewards of taking some of this tax money and putting it towards fire protection, and building an account like we have for all the other departments to provide all of this, to make sure we have qualified people at all the locations. So that's just something to think about as we get into the budget season. But I can just tell you, as chairman of the fire commission, that's what they're interested in. They're interested in seeing a line item they feel more secure, and they don't have to come beg or get beat up because they're asking for money. And it's kind of hard when you're a volunteer to go in and ask for money. You feel like you're cheating, because you're a volunteer. But it's just a difficult thing, something we need to address.
Well, I can tell you from past experience, is having that first responder there, a lot of times they get there before the ambulance does. Yeah. That's not a, reflection on the ambulance service. It's just because they're local and they can be there quicker. Yep. And so, all right. So maybe we'll take that up next month and have some more discussion.
Yep.
And Ed, have you got that? Okay. All right. Let's see. Anything else before we move on to Rails to Trails? Okay, next is Rails to Trails New River. It's deferred from December operations meeting. And this will probably take another couple of months before we ever come up with any decisions, because we're still talking to the residents of Devonia, and there are several issues there. And this is an area that's been overlooked, it's been taken from. There's a lot of money that's been, that area, through the mineral service tax, has made Anderson County whole, and it's not been put back. We don't have all the water we need over there. We don't have, of course, from, you know, that's what we're talking about now, is having the fire and the rescue and all this other stuff over there. It's just, it's a community that's been taken from and nothing given back. Even their identity has been taken away. So I think Nancy wants to speak on the Rails to Trails. She's had another meeting, and I think Commissioner Val wants to speak, and I know we got, you know, people from Devonia that wants to speak. Nancy?
Good evening. Thank you for another opportunity to speak to you about this project. I hope you all had an opportunity to review the PFD, what is it called? The slides that I sent to you on the deed discussion that I had on January 2nd. And it's a little out of context because you just got the slides, you didn't get the discussion. But I hope you could see that there's an indication that the entire corridor, other than one easement, is owned in fee simple by the railroad. Now, that one easement is an issue that I want to have more information about. So Trust for Public Land has assured me that, one, they will have the entire official title search completed by the end of this month, and that they will answer my questions about that one easement, and also the area between Moore's Camp and Fork Mountain that is in question. So they're supposed to answer all of those questions by the end of this month. And so at this point, we're not here to ask for any consideration be given to that resolution that we proposed a few months ago. And instead, I want to talk a little bit about what Commissioner Isbell, the issues that Commissioner Isbell just raised. I've spent more time in the New River community, and I want to briefly share some things that I've learned, because I think it changes how we should proceed at this point. When I first met and spoke with Scotty, I understood that New River had lost a great deal, land, industry, population, and that the trail felt to many like one more thing being taken from them. But what I learned when I listened more carefully and spent a little bit more time is that this is a community that lacks some of the most basic things that many of us take for granted, like reliable water, fire hydrants, cell service, a consistent law enforcement presence. And I don't see those as luxuries. You know, I think those are parts of the foundation of most communities that most of us enjoy.
Can you
Now-
pull it closer?
Oh.
Yeah, it's hard for the people to hear at home.
Is that okay?
Yeah, it's
Sounds
better.
so, it's, ooh. Now I know, and I truly know, that this trail could bring new life, tourism, and opportunity to New River, just as it has in so many places across the country. Wherever there are Rails to Trails projects, especially in towns like this, it puts those towns on the map. We know from a lot of experience that this would create amazing opportunities. But even if the New River community became convinced of that, it doesn't address the deeper concerns that they have. That technically we're asking them to accept a county-wide benefit without having their most basic local needs met first. Now, you know, when Norris and Clinton and Oak Ridge approved the resolution supporting this Rails to Trails project, they did that because they recognized that the project will have significant county-wide economic impact. And then last time I was here, I remember somebody here saying that that as a commissioner, you represent your districts, but you also represent the whole county. So today I'm asking for something a little bit different. If this committee and the full commission believe in the promise of this project, and in the future it can offer this whole county, then could we also help ensure that the New River community is not left behind as we proceed? Now, I've already begun working on some of the issues. I have started researching the cell tower options. I spoke with the Bryceville constable, who made me aware that there's a potential for grants for law enforcement presence. Next week, I will be talking to the water board about reliability issues as well as fire hydrants. But if the full commission were willing to support this infrastructure effort, for instance, if you all would go to the full commission and ask perhaps for a task force to start dealing with this infrastructure effort, and our organization certainly would contribute to that effort, that would provide far more weight than one nonprofit acting alone. And mind you, it's not about trading infrastructure for a trail. It's about making sure that a community that helped build this county through its coal and timber heritage is included in its future. So basically that's what we're asking, if you will consider going to the full commission and ask them to step into stewardship of a community that has carried a lot for a long time. And our organization, TCWP, will support this commission any way it can.
To answer your question, we do that from this committee.
Pardon?
We can do that from this committee without forming a task force. We can do that straight from this committee. But one of the things that I would like to do is not like a trade-off, is to just give us back what we deserve, identity and property. Let's not negotiate. Let's just ask them to give it back to us. I mean, that's what's fair. And then we'll negotiate with everything else. But I think that, you know, and I'll pass the gavel, to make a motion that we do a letter to the state and ask them for property back for residents. We need more help with water. We need more infrastructure. We need the identity back. We can start with simple things just like the zip code, and that's my motion.
We got a motion. Do we have a second on the
I'll
motion?
second it.
We got a second by Commissioner McCamey. Any discussion on the motion?
Do you want to put like a specific acreage amount or anything, or certain?
Well, actually, I talked with a constituent this weekend and was talking about that, and his suggestion was X amount of feet on each side of the road all the way through, 1,000 feet. Of course, then I talked to Scotty today, and there's maybe some issues there, but I think that's a general thing. If you say, because they want the TWRA land, so if you go 1,000 feet down both sides of the road, and, there's some things could be worked out, they could actually do, a right-of-way to get to their property. But if you're going to build a home or, any type of retail business, it's going to be along, the roadway. But, I mean, that's something that we can, take up next month after we get a chance to talk to the people from Devonia, because that's who it affects.
Annette, did you get that motion, or do you need it stated again?
I got it.
Okay.
All right.
Any other discussion on that motion? Commissioner Val? From that district, yes, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Commissioner, for making that motion. We sit down here 2 or 3 times a month, and we have meetings here at the courthouse. And we hear people come in and make suggestions, and some of them are great suggestions, and some of them we implement, some of them we don't. Most of us, I believe, do a very good job of contacting our constituents when we hear an idea before we vote on it and ask them their concerns with it and their input on it, as we should. In this particular case, at this point in the project, our constituents have been very, very blunt. They've not whispered. They've told us pretty much loudly what they thought at this point. I'm not mad at Miss Manning and her organization. I understand what they do. I appreciate their efforts that they do. I appreciate her suggestions. I would suggest, however, that she do maybe a little bit more research on the history of the area and the progress that we have made down through the years and the progress we've tried to make down through the years, and for whatever reason, that progress did not come to fruition. We do have water issues up there that we're working on. We do have an area up there that is very remote to get to as far as fire protection, EMS, law enforcement, and I think that has been some of the questions that our constituents have been asking us, that if this project were to go through, what do they do if somebody is walking that trail and happens to come across their property and falls and breaks their leg? Are they liable? What do we do if they come on to private property and they are asked to leave and they become belligerent and they become violent? We call 911 and hope that the law enforcement gets there. I understand the concerns. You certainly understand the concerns, Tim. All of us, I think, understand these concerns, and it's not that we're just arbitrarily saying no to a project. What we want people to understand is when they come into our area and want to do a project like this, the people who it will directly affect are owed the consideration for their concerns to be considered more than anyone else's. I appreciate the fact that Oak Ridgers are going to want this. I appreciate the fact that maybe Norris residents or Oliver Springs residents think this is a great idea. I respect that Scott County or Union County thinks this is a great idea. I'm worried about the people from Devonia, New River, that area, thinking that it's a good idea. Until their concerns are met, their questions are answered by Miss Manning or whomever, then to me this is going to be a stalemate. So that's my 2 cents. Thank you.
Thank
for
you,
your
Commissioner. Any other discussion? Commissioner.
Oh, and I just want to say I appreciate Miss Manning so much, because she's listened in this meeting that she had, I guess, on January 2nd, and she sees how this community's been taken advantage of. So she wants to do her part, anything that she can, to help rectify the situation. So I appreciate that, Miss Manning. Okay.
Yes, any other discussion? Thank you, Ms. Manning, appreciate that. No other discussion, let's go to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Did anybody from Devonia, New River, Tioga? Yeah, yeah. Yep.
I don't know how, I'm not being rude, I'm not being smart, but you know, when Nancy and them first approached all this stuff, they didn't come to us where it was gonna be. They went to Oak Ridge, they went to Norris, all these other places. Then we were the last to hear about it. And we've got, you know, the houses that's along that track, they live there. They can't pick up their house and move it, you know, but they built out their homes, you know,
in the
with what was
1800s,
there,
yeah.
right, and stuff like that. And county commissioners should help each other out when it comes to stuff like that. But, you know, they should look at what does the New River County Commissioners, what do the people want their commissioners to do, then that's what they should do to help that happen, same way other. Everything that you can see is great for y'all is not necessarily great for us. And I don't know how we get that across to you. And to me, it's almost being arrogant, saying that we're going to put this in your community and you're going to like it, you know, and that's not the way it works. And we approached the state about land, or the conservation group, before the state ever took control of it, and showed them places that we could build homes, you know, set it aside for home building and stuff. Now, he asked, how much acreage are you thinking? I said, probably around 2,000 acres, something like that, in each county, because they got
23,000 some acres from us. They got 40-something thousand from Scott County and 20-something from Campbell County. What is that acreage? Why we're not asking for much?
Right.
And we took him and showed him these places, and it's along the road. It's either there's very few places on the right-hand side of the road. If you're going up towards Morgan County, it's all mountain.
Right.
But you can cut off the road there in places and go up, and they may be 5 or 10 acres of level or rolling land up there. And that's what we showed the conservationists when we brought him there, trying to get land. And we told him about how much we went, no. I said, well, how much were you thinking? He said, maybe 100 acres. Well, that 100 acres didn't come either. And then you have TWRA coming in there harassing the people in cemeteries and stuff, when they're visiting the graves, come into the cemetery during hunting season and say, why ain't you got blaze orange on? And I asked him, I said, what do you expect us to do, wear blaze orange when we're burying somebody? It's just stuff that they throw down our throats that we're sick of. And the county has never helped us. When we was trying to get them to stop and not let them take this land over, they did it anyway. About last year, 740 acres more went to the state. And I don't know, but now they told me, did you have to sign off on that, Terry? It was 740 acres last year. Anyhow, the person who had to sell the land said that the county mayor had to sign off on it or they couldn't sell it. The state couldn't buy it. But, we asked Randy McNally, and Randy McNally was, he told me when the state was first taking it over, I said, Randy, we don't want it. He said, well, he's torn between the people in Oak Ridge and the people of New River. And I said, well, when the people of Oak Ridge decide to move to New River, it becomes their business. I said, but until they do, it's none of their business because it don't affect them. I don't come into Oak Ridge and say, this is how we want you to live over here. I don't go into Norris. I don't go into Clinton. Live the way you want to live. That's your community. It's your towns. But New River is ours. We might be little, but we're mighty. We'll fight.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And, we've been blocked. I'll tell you this. We tried to incorporate back when the governor, Sundquist. When Sundquist was in there, his lieutenant governor wanted to be able to incorporate his community that he was from. So in order to do that, they had to drop the population requirements from 1,200 down to 500. When we thought this is a good opportunity for us. We didn't have the population, but we went into our neighboring community, Beach Fork, and on over into Scott County, which is over the mountains, and we had our people. And so we went to each county, asked them, how much are you going to charge us to hold this election? Anderson County told me, said nothing. It's a service we provide. So here we go. We went to each county, got the signatures, we set our boundaries, had our public hearing and all that stuff. Took it over to brought it over here to the courthouse to the election commission. I handed it to the man. He looked at it and he said, looks good. He said, it'd be $10,000. I said, $10,000? I said, you told me it wouldn't cost us nothing. He said, it's $10,000. I said, what about Scott and Campbell? $10,000, $10,000. Well, I found out later that they had been, now this is before the state got it, the year before the state got it. And they had been summoned to block us at whatever they had to do. And they did. Hindsight's 2020, I'd have borrowed, begged, or stole that money to have done it. And you wouldn't be hearing a thing from us today. And we'd be taking care of business over ourselves. But that's what this county has done, knocked us down every chance they got, took everything they could take from us, and spin it over here. Robert told me once when he was our county commissioner, he drawed a circle on my countertop at the store, and he said, right here's the center, Clinton Courthouse. He said, when the county starts getting extra money, it spreads out. So when they have cut back, it cuts back in. He said, think about it, New River out here never gets any of the money. But Clinton never does without, and it don't. These towns don't do without. It's got its own source, and we'll survive. But we're not going to give up another inch of New River until the state gives us some land to build homes on. We've got to grow a community that when we grow and get big enough to incorporate or do whatever we need to do, we'll take care of it over there. You'll have a place. We will have a place that is beautiful. I mean, it's beautiful now anyway.
Yeah.
But that's just, I'm not being a smart aleck, but New River is ours, and you've got to go with what we want, because it affects us. It affects the people there. You know, and, you know, if we was mean people or whatever, and one say that, well, if you're gonna do that to us, then we're gonna do this to Oak Ridge, and we're gonna do this to Clinton. But, you know, we need this to help us, not hurt us.
We're trying.
And Nancy, you know, I wanna hug her, then hit her too. She's the name that she has, she's got good ideas, but, you know, can we get something with signatures on, say, we're gonna release some land, we want 5,000 acres, you know,
Yeah.
whatever. But we gotta have some places for people to live, for the kids to be able to build a home there and stay. You know, when they grow up now, they just have to leave. And we're an Asian community, we're like Oak Ridge, we're an Asian population.
Well, one of the things, and I was going to ask the mayor about, and this is New River, and thank you for giving me some time on this, is now that we have vouchers and private school funding and stuff, could we put a school over there now, based on that?
I don't know that we've not got the enrollment really. I mean, it would be a small school, but you know.
Well, I mean, if you do a private school, it don't matter.
Right, yeah, and before the day, we had one-room schools all over the river there. So, you know,
Yeah.
it worked back then, 'cause everybody could read and write and do all that good stuff. We've got 23 kids in school, K through 12. We've got some youngins growing up, it's 4, 3, 2 infants and stuff like that, but we can't never gain down here to be able to expand up here because they're moving out. All of our young people have to leave.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and there's not a lot of young people over there having babies and stuff. It would be wonderful. We want a school back.
You know, with 23 students that's riding a school bus for how long a day?
Hour and a half time I get to the high school, we're on our limit.
Yeah.
And to Briceville, it's about an hour.
Yeah, so that's one direction.
Yeah.
So that's 3 hours a day.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what, when they get on the bus, I turn the heat up good, and all of them's laying back there asleep. You know, you have to wake them up to get them off the bus, some of them.
Yeah.
But you know, they get up early. You put the 5-year-old on the bus at 6:25 in the morning, who else has to do that?
That's true. And I've got a question of the law director. Is they're putting up barriers now on the rail? Okay. Go ahead, Nancy.
We're putting barriers.
Oh, you're putting barriers.
Well, Echoes and.
Come on up and speak, please.
Sorry.
Now, you're putting that up on the request of the residents?
Karen is working with,
John?
yeah, where'd you go, Karen? Yeah. Yes, John McCracken, yeah.
John McCracken called me yesterday and he had
Now,
me
John is with who?
Echoes nonprofit in Scott County.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he contacted me and had me to he physically got me in a Jeep. He took me up where the rail trail was, all the way up to almost to the end of the co-washer, and took me all the way down to Mike Burgess where they have it blocked. And I informed him of, because I have been having issues with razors coming down through there, they just think it's a road. They come up to see Scotty's train, and they think, oh, let me just see how this is. And they come down through at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, 12 o'clock at night. I can't sleep, and I have to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning to go to work. So it's becoming very a nuisance and aggravating. And time I call 911, time I get a police over there to do it, they've done finished and they're done gone, and it's no point, no use. So I, let them know that the aggravation that I was having, and it just ain't me, it's other people there, it's out from me. And so she had John to contact me, and I took him up there and showed him the property that we need something. I mean, I'm not for the rails and trails. I love New River. I live there. And I'm not trying to be mean to you or anything, but I'd love to see New River on the map more than anybody. I'd love for us to have water at Fort Mountain. I'd love for us to have things, fire hydrant. I've asked for that before. You know that before because I've asked for it from the commissioners. I get shot down every time. We have to fight for everything over there. We have to fight. I'm having to fight for dumpsters. I'm having to fight for anything that we have. And I want us to keep our precinct. It's a wonder they ain't tried to take that away. And I'm sure, I'll try to fight for that too. But we lose everything all the time. And I'm, for one, I hate it. And I love where I live. And I don't want to live nowhere else. But I'm tired of the aggravation. Ever since Windrock took over, we have razors in front of us at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, running with their vehicle. They don't have no respect at all. Now, people are gonna go in behind us. I don't want nobody walking in the trail. I've got wild hogs tearing up my property. If I wanted to shoot them, and I have a TWRA permit to shoot them, I can't shoot them now because I don't know if there's somebody walking in behind there on the trail. I mean, to even know, are they gonna be wearing orange going walking on the trail to where I know if there's somebody going down through there? And another thing, the trash, what are they gonna do about the trash? I've been told that you can't use the dumpster for commercial use, it's for residential use only. So they've gotta come up with a plan on that one, and that come from Jeff. I mean, I'm not trying to be mean.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that would have to work out.
Yeah,
you know,
and
we'll
where are they
get
gonna
to
use
that.
the restrooms at?
Yeah.
I mean, they need to take a lot of this into consideration. And I'm personal, they're not coming in my bathroom and using my personal bathroom. I can tell you that right now. I mean, I'm not trying to be mean about it.
Well, what my question was about the barriers, and that's why I was gonna ask the law director, is once they set the barriers up, is those barriers are only good for the right-of-way that the railroad owns? Is that correct?
The barriers are between the railroad right-of-way and private property?
No, it's the barriers that I've seen as you're going down through, like at a bridge trestle or certain properties, is they'll put concrete barriers right there. And it's only on the right-of-way, from what the pictures I've seen. And Mr. McCracken has asked for me and Commissioner Val to come over at the end of the month and look at some of the, other barriers and stuff there. But does that mean that when that barrier comes up, somebody comes to that barrier, what they gotta do? Turn around?
Well,
Or are they gonna go on people's private
Well,
property and
that's-
go around?
that would be,
Trespassing.
yeah, that'd be
It's
trespassing.
owned by R.J. Corman.
It's owned by R.J. Corman,
And
correct?
I will tell you, I don't think I mentioned this before, even R.J. Corman says they would help with prosecution if that became necessary.
And let me tell you, people's gonna go around. They're
But
gonna make
if-
a way around.
Well, I guess, and I know we're getting down a big rabbit hole here, but if somebody puts a barrier up at the very beginning of the trail, does that stop the trail?
Well, they're putting the barriers, my understanding is mainly at access points that have been already determined where those are. But with Anderson County, I asked John, would he meet with Karen, because she knows so well where they're getting in that.
Can you speak in the microphone?
As an access point, so.
Yeah, speak to the microphone.
I'm sorry.
'cause-
So he's going to try as best he can to get them where she recognizes they're getting into private property. Like Michael Burge, I don't know, he's not here, but Michael, those ATV people come into his backyard and sit in his picnic table and think it's theirs. So we're trying to identify places that they're getting in. And those barriers are 2,500 pounds apiece, so they can't be easily moved, and they have no trespass signs on them.
And they have R.J. Corman on the signs.
Yes, it does. National Salvage and R.J. Corman, which if ever it's owned by somebody else, that trespassing sign will change. TCWP, Trust for Public Land, and Echoes Nonprofit are all paying for the barriers, the signs, and the equipment to place them, and the guy, because it's hard to, they're heavy, so.
And the reason why I ask this is if the barriers are setting, if you understand what I'm trying to say, if they're setting at the beginning, then what do? You have to get permission from that landowner to even go around the barrier and continue on the trail.
And
Well,
who-
no,
And who's to say that they won't try to move those barriers?
Well,
Karen's
I'm
mom
just,
said
as we go forward and whatever resolution we come up with, I mean, we gotta know.
No, I'm not quite sure on the question. Do you mean if people are walking or people are riding the ATVs?
The way, from what I've seen of the barriers, was to stop anybody from going down through there. Are you saying
No,
it's
it's just-
still permissible for walking?
Oh, yeah.
Just not ATVs?
Right. The proposed rails to trails would not allow any motorized vehicles.
Okay.
And so that's sort of the point at this point. But it doesn't stop a human from walking
Okay.
around them.
All right, well, So the barriers are to keep any ATVs, UTVs, or anything off the
Right.
trail.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. Anything else?
But I do want to point out, you guys know she's a great advocate for this community. I think you probably figured that out by now. What I like about Karen is she's very specific about concerns, and it helps us because we do want to address as many of these issues as we can. It's just not, I can't do it all at once, but we are making movements towards all of those concerns, I hope.
And I also let John McCracken know that, like up from my house, he was gonna put a barrier. That's right there at the trestle, right there at the Indian Fork. And he's gonna put one there. And then he talked about putting one down, going to the Phillips Cemetery, going back up that would take you in behind Rosedale. So he was gonna put one there. Then he said he was gonna put one like going up towards the Goodman. And I said, you can't do that. I said, that's my family cemetery, and I need inside and outside of that. And I said, it also property that goes to Everett Carroll. I said, that cannot be blocked. So, I mean, I've gave him, you know, some things that he can and cannot do, my opinion only, because I want to keep people out because they're aggravating us to death. And I'm afraid that when this rails and trails, when people go to walking, it can't be controlled. I'm not trying to be mean. When we had the train over there, it was controlled.
But the way
These
it looks right
people
now is R.J.
cannot.
Corman can do whatever they want to with the property.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But, you know.
Can you state your first and last name and address for the people at home? Mayor,
Karen.
please, thank you.
Karen McCamey, 7395 New River Highway, Devonia, Tennessee, 37710.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. And I just appreciate all the people that drive 45 minutes to an hour. Takes me an hour and a half. And then it's going to be 9 or 10 o'clock before you get home. But we really appreciate that because we've got 3 pews of people here, 4 from that area. I appreciate that. Okay, we'll move on. EMS review of incident involving 911 call requested by Commissioner Capshaw.
So I asked for this review. What happened on November the 12th of
Thank you.
2025, I was at a dental appointment at 8 a.m. and an incident occurred while I was in the dental chair with one of the staff members. And upon checking out, they were attempting to call 911 again and informed me that they had called and it had been, according to them, it had been over 30 minutes, and they were still waiting on someone to respond. The staff member was pregnant and completely out of it, and they were trying to get someone to respond. So while I was still standing there and attempting to call on my phone, they were able to get in contact with someone else, and they said that they were a couple minutes out. Upon me checking out, I sat in my car, and it's from that call and me time, and it took them 6 minutes for someone from Anderson County to respond. I want to I talked to Nathan that same day. I called him to say, hey, this incident happened while I was in the dental chair, and trying to figure out what happened, and wanted to ask for a review and also to get a report, kind of similar to what Ms. Smith had outlined, you know, the call and the time and to make sure, because they feel like it was 40 to 45 minutes response time, just to see what happened. And also because it's in Oliver Springs, we do know there's 3 counties in that area, kind of to figure out what happened, what can we do to prevent it from happening in the future.
Yeah, so I appreciate Commissioner bringing this to the attention and putting it on the agenda. So I can only provide the information that I have been able to find. She did call me on that day. I did tell her, please give the dentist office, give them my phone number. I'd like to talk to them. I'd like to see what they have to say, hear what they encountered, so then I could take a look into it. So they did call me later that day, and the individual I spoke to was not directly involved with the call, but she called me about it. And she said that they placed the call, They didn't get ambulance there in time, so they called again. And when they called back the second time, they said that they were that the call went to the wrong dispatch center. And whoever they talked to there said, well, it's not in our coverage area, so they need to transfer it to someone else. And that they eventually got them transferred over to Anderson County E911. I said, okay, so I sent an email off to Anderson County E911 department, to our dispatch center, one of the supervisors over at our dispatch, and to the Morgan County EMS director, said, hey, could you forward this to the Morgan County E911? This was the information that I got, just trying to find out what happened, because if they called by cell phone, they could potentially ping off of a certain tower that could route it to a dispatch center. And if that cell phone ping didn't send them to Morgan County, then Morgan County processes it. Obviously, they should be asking those questions and send it to someone. I never did hear back from the Morgan County E911 director. Even the EMS director reached out to me, hey, did you hear back from us? I said, no, I haven't. I don't know who it is. He said, well, he forwarded it to him, and he hadn't heard back. So I reached back out to Anderson County E911, Justin Massengill with Anderson County E911, the assistant director over there, said, hey, do you know when you could talk to try to find out what happened? Well, he reached out to the Morgan County E911 director, I believe it's Kenny Morgan, he used to be Oliver Springs police chief. He's there now. Morgan County reviewed their records. They received no phone call. They reviewed all of their phone calls from 8 a.m. Going to the time of the incident. When we got there, they had no phone calls. So they reached out to Roane County E911. Did you guys have any phone calls on this date during this time? Roane County had no phone calls. They reviewed all of their records. The first phone call we got was at 9:01 a.m. That was the 911 call came in by cell phone. It was actually at 9:01 and 33 milliseconds after that. It was dispatched at 9:03. Our unit was en route at 9:04. At the time of dispatch, the only unit available to respond to that call was the Rocky Top unit. So the Rocky Top ambulance was dispatched to the Oliver Springs call because we didn't have, the other units were already busy on other assignments. While they were responding, Medic 2 in Oak Ridge, who was on another scene call, freed up, were closer, so they took the call. So at 9:12, Medic 2 was en route to that call, and they arrived on scene at 9:21. So we had a call back at 9:17. Again, Justin Massengill reviewed the call records. He listened to the calls. At 9:17 was a second call back, asking for the ETA for the ambulance. And then our ambulance was there 4 minutes after that second call. So we did see that time and length of response time because we were busy at that time. The other ambulances were on calls, the closest one coming from Rocky Top. Now I know we can drive emergency traffic. What that means is we have permission to drive faster than the speed limit, but they are not required to drive faster than the speed limit. But even that being said, going from Rocky Top to Oliver Springs is going to take some time. And if the other trucks are already on calls, and that's the only one we have to send at that time, or that is the closest truck, that is what we're going to send. So on that day, reviewing the records, at least from what Morgan County tells us, Roane County tells us, I don't know where the first phone call went. I haven't been able to track that down. Who made that, where it went. I know the 3 PSAPs that could be involved, they have admitted that they've reviewed the records, they've reviewed the recordings, and they found no phone call. The only possibility I can think of, and we have seen this case, is if they used a phone that was a voice over internet protocol, VoIP, where you've seen a lot of people and businesses are changing to the internet protocol phone lines. If you do not have your line registered to an address, which you are supposed to do, your carrier is supposed to register that voice over internet with your address so that when you call 911, it gets the right PSAP. We actually experienced this, it was at Senior Center. We had a call at the Senior Center. And that call was actually routed to a dispatch center in Colorado. And then it eventually got routed back to us. Well, the reason for that is when you have an internet protocol and you don't have an address, the internet provider that you're using has a fail-safe. And the fail-safe dispatch center they contracted with was in Colorado. So when it got to them, they're asking all the questions, they're trying to find the information, and we had some issues with that. And I think that actually ended up changing the internet provider or the phone provider because they couldn't get the address registered correctly. So we had to change the information there at the Senior Center. They actually had to change the provider because they couldn't do what was right. So what I found is we got the first call at 9:01. The ambulance was dispatched at 9:03. They went en route at 9:04. Medic 2 ended up jumping that call at 9:12 because they went in service from the previous call and they were closer. And then they got on scene at 9:21.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
For the update.
I'm sorry, I don't really have an answer. I mean, the lady I spoke to, she was not the one that made the call, and she's the only one that I spoke. So she got it secondhand, or I guess second or third hand from someone else, and called me with it.
Okay.
Thank you, Nathan.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Appreciate you. Okay, request by Commissioner Wandell, Veteran Services Office update.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to provide our Anderson County Veteran Service Officer an opportunity to come before us and give an update on the office. Mr. Nation, would you mind coming up and giving just a quick update on the Veterans Office?
Hey, good evening. Thank you for the time. Just want to cover a couple things that's going on in the office over the last quarter. I've seen a little over 480 some people coming into the office along with home visits. Almost 600 phone calls that come into that office. Gross in the county just for this last quarter, $283,000 in new revenue for the county for this first half of fiscal year 26, a little bit over 1.2 million. During the last quarter, of course, we have holidays in there, so I want to take a few minutes or a few seconds and thank the 2 American Legion that service Anderson County. I know we got the one in Clinton, the one in Oliver Springs. About 80% of their members are Anderson County residents, AMVETS, DAV, and VFW, because we had veterans in need during that time, and if it wasn't for those organizations, those needs would not have been met. Usually the phone call comes into my office, and I start reaching out to these organizations to help get them taken care of. The other thing I've got, I've been battling this, I've been here for almost 22 months, and the drama needs to stop. And whether, I'm either compared to Leon Chiquette or Leon Chiquette's compared to me. We are 2 different individuals. Leon Chiquette was the first full-time VSO for the county, served in the position for 16 and a half years. Did a great job. It's my job to make it better. But some of that drama, it's got to stop. It takes away from the office, takes away from the focus of the office. So I think we're all adults, and we need to put that behind us. And let me run with, give me the support, and let me continue to run with the program, with the office, and make it better. I have no vendettas against anybody. From Thursday evening at the Budget Committee meeting, I seen a Facebook post. I don't know who made the Facebook post. I don't even know the person if they were sitting in this room tonight, being honest. But the drama's got to stop. I'm here to take care of veterans for Anderson County. That's my focus. And I know I've got some shortcomings I've been made aware of over the last few weeks. One of the biggest things that come in the office is phone calls, and I just run out of time during the day to get them all called back from the people sitting in front of me. They are priority number 1. And so I do have a shortcoming of making all the phone calls back, but I'm working on fixing that. And I appreciate your time.
Oh, by the way, I'll donate you my flags. I've been the one that Commissioner Valway's helped me set up all those flags. I've seen the budget. You asked for money for that, so I'll donate them to you.
Okay, I'll take
Okay.
it.
All right, even the stands.
Sounds great.
All right.
Does anybody else have any questions for the VSO? I'll just say that, Scott, since you've been here, I've seen firsthand the impact you've had. You do not bring in the money, but you certainly tee it up for those to go get the money, and for a deserving cause. It's for disabilities, for our veterans, men and women, and I just want to thank you for that. I'm proud of our Veteran Service Committee. We don't spend time in our committee doing political things. We do veteran things. Yes. And I'd like to see that continue, and I appreciate how you service our veterans, so thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
Let's real quickly, Briceville, Rosedale, water.
Ms.
The
Smith.
only update that I have is I did get an email from Robert Campbell and Associates. He did some work years ago, Mayor, you may recall, up there, and his recommendation, and he sent some of that paperwork from back then. Obviously, the issue seems to be if we run water all the way up there, even if we had the money and all that kind of fun stuff, is if the line got all the way up there to that end of the road, or that end where we need it, they would have to blow it off constantly because the chlorine cannot set in the line apparently, and that's a state code, state law, I guess. So Robert Campbell from Campbell Associates believes that an investment in a water well, drilling a new well in that location would be the way to go. I think the numbers he threw out there were $15,000 to $25,000 for a new well, and then it's $5,000 a year to maintain that well with a filter. That's where the question would come in, and obviously who's going to pay to maintain the well. In some of the emails I've had with the state TDEC side, it seems as if there could be potential funding to go do that. I'd like to figure out if we could pursue that. I think that would be the quickest fix for the families up there. There's just three families up there, but I think that's what we need now to get that water going. And I think in talking to TDEC, if we could get the Water Authority to agree to take the funds, if approved from the state, the Water Authority could help manage and take those funds and incorporate it. Maybe I'm wrong, Mayor might know more than me on that, but that's kind of the thought process, and I just wanted to open it up for discussion.
I actually spoke with Jeff too with ACWA, and we're on the agenda for the 20th at 5 o'clock before our full commission meeting.
Okay.
Speak to that because he said, you know, if we do a well, it's still got some TDEC things that would have to be done. And so I said, well, that's what we want to do. We want this as a fact-finding mission so we can find out what we can do. You know, do you have to be involved? Does ACWA have to be involved? Who's going to take care of it? So that's what we're on the agenda for.
Robert Campbell said he'd be happy to work with the ACWA if they wish. Now, backing up, the last thing on running the water line, last I heard is the Water Authority was going to get this estimate from that company, I forget, CCC Engineering or whatever, but I haven't heard any updates of it.
I haven't either, so we'll take that up. And hopefully you'll be able to, you know, if we can get there at 5 o'clock, be first on the agenda.
But something that, get back to the sewer, do we need to get a motion or anything, or we're just gonna go to the meeting?
I think we go to the meeting and
Okay.
see what they say, gives us a direction. You know, is it something the county needs to do and have somebody from the county maintain it, but that should be ACWA. We'll get the mayor's input too, after that meeting.
I don't know if the mayor knows the answer. This is something separate, but it relates to sewer, and I heard the discussion earlier about sewer going to Norris and whatnot, but I guess I'm curious, up there at Waterside, that area, my understanding is we provide sewer to that area, and it's located in Union County. And I'm curious if we as a county get paid taxes, property taxes. If we don't, if Union County gets the property taxes, then why is Anderson County providing sewer and water service? It seems to be questionable, and I don't know the answers to those things. I haven't gotten in that deep, but I do know the sewer comes to Anderson County, and those condos are in Union County, and I'm not against Waterside or anybody, but I don't know who cut the deal. I don't know if there is a deal, but I'd like to learn more, and I don't know if you know anything about that, Mayor, or...
I do not. I know that, you know, a lot of the utility districts will, so for instance, in like Hallsdale Powell does cover like a little small portion of Anderson County. CUB kind of goes into some other areas. Even on the gas side, Powell Clinch goes considerably into Campbell County. And so I don't know, you know, I don't know how they make those determinations, if it's just the board themselves or if it's, you know, what's easier for service to that particular area. But definitely I would ask, you know, if y'all are going to be at that meeting, I'm sure they could give you the specifics, but I'm not, that's one area I'm just not familiar with on that water side.
I think they got two more towers they're gonna build, and that's gonna put even more pressure on us.
If I remember correctly, it's an agreement between the folks that own Waterside and ACWA.
Really?
If I remember correctly.
And it might have to do with the body of water, so I know like even on the ambulance service, Nathan and I had a meeting one time online with one of their county commissioners and the county mayor, because if they have to service their folks, is it 45 minutes, Nathan, I mean, and so they were trying to look at, you know, getting us to do the guaranteed response, which for us, the challenge is, okay, we need to give priority to our citizens. We're sensitive to what you're talking about, but I think it's that water, you know, they've got a body of water in between
I got you.
the areas.
You know, maybe we can talk to the water authority.
Yeah.
It might make sense if they're gonna be building these other towers, condos, that we get a water treatment facility up that way. And
Like
the
Clark
county
did
can
it.
work, and the water authority can work with them to figure out how to do that. But, you know, something's gonna have to be done, because it's already caused problems all the way into our district
where the sewer's backing up, and that's Mountain View Park, that's next, I guess.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the reason for the discussion.
Okay. All right.
Anything else?
The well is back on the outlook. I think I made that motion 10 years ago.
You did, and they remind me about that too. Yeah.
What was that motion, or what'd you, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
To go ahead and drill a well.
Oh, yes, you did. You absolutely did. Yeah.
That was,
Up at Rosedale, up that way. Yes, you
Yeah.
did. Yes,
Yep.
you did.
So hopefully, after we have this meeting, we can have a direction, especially getting the cost from Robert
Well,
County.
how about we do a motion, because I'd like to see us, you know, we've been there, what, 8 months ago, 9 months ago? I mean, we go and meet, and we go and talk, and everybody's nice, everybody's cordial, everybody says they're gonna do X, Y, Z, and then we go on another 6, 8 months, and nothing happens. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to make a motion that I make a motion that Anderson County approach the Anderson County Water Authority to pursue funds from TDEC to install a water well, clean water well in the Rosedale community, and I so move.
And I second.
Okay, discussion on the motion. I know that I spoke with Commissioner Val about this same thing about funding last week, and he been working on that, I think, you know, with Robbie,
Mhm.
you know, where we could do that. But I think that motion, when we go to ACWA, it says that county commission is in, hopefully it's passed full commission, is that full commission is in support of getting water over there. So we
I
need
believe
to
they
do
would
something.
be. I mean, obviously, the question's gonna be how's it funded, but I think TDEC would step up. There's several different types of grants that we can get, and again, if we have to float it on the front end to get it in and then replenish those funds back into the county, I think that's a win-win for everybody.
Yep. Any discussion, any other discussion on the motion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimous. Claxon Playground?
Mr. Chairman, I know that the Conservation Board's taken in the surveys. I know the community, Commissioner McNabb, we've had a lot of folks fill out the surveys. I just wanted to see if we got any type of direction on how that's going to go, and I've actually been getting a lot of feedback that folks don't want it on the school ground. You know, I certainly be interested in see the surveys. That's what we got to do. But I just wanted to ask the mayor if she had any thoughts on how that next step would go.
I think the Conservation Board was looking at what would a shared use agreement look like between the Anderson County Schools and the Conservation Board. TDEC does require a shared use agreement to be filed with them. And then part of that process is also the schools would have to file it with the Tennessee School Board Association. Obviously, the big point, Commissioner Wandale, I think this was one of your core concerns, was that there be guaranteed access during the day. It doesn't make sense to have a park that's only available after hours or after school closes. And so that would be something that would be in that shared use agreement, as well as maintenance of facilities. So currently, Mr. Brooks and his office did an excellent job of just drafting something to kind of get everything off the ground. There's not anything that's up for approval, but it looks at things, and there may be other items to add, such as, you know, maintenance of the restrooms. So I do know the schools want restrooms there, you know, full, not porta potties. And what would that look like in terms of maintenance? And, you know, so for instance, the law director put in there that the schools would maintain those on a daily basis, the cleaning and all of those things. The parks would maintain equipment, structures, repairs, that kind of thing. So we've got a working draft, and then the Conservation Board is really looking at those surveys closed January the 31st, and what does the community want? So there were some initial ideas. I know that the schools definitely want bathrooms, they definitely want a pavilion, and a lot of green space, but I think everything from there is up to what the community would want. Would it be a turf area? Would it be a walking track? Would it be playground structures? You know, just there's a lot of ideas that's out there. In the Conservation Board meetings I've been at, there's no predetermined what's it going to look like. There's just some basic building blocks to get it started.
Okay, so we're going to wait till the survey gets back. Okay.
I had a question for clarity purposes.
Yes.
So the playground, it would just be one playground on the school grounds that everyone's sharing, the school kids and
No,
the public?
the schools would
Someone
have
asked,
their
so-
own playground
Okay.
that is for the
Separate.
students, and it's a completely separate playground.
Okay.
This would actually be, so I know Dr. Parrott's working with Michael Brady and Associates on a draft, and as you come into the school, it would be at the very front of the entrance, a separate turnoff into the park area. And then I've asked him for dimensions. I don't have that yet to give to the Conservation Board, but he said it was basically the size of a football field, so it'd be a pretty good footprint to be able to put amenities there.
Okay, thank you.
Chairman, could you get us a map of that? Wasn't it like 23 acres they have over there?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Could you possibly get us a map of that, and just, you know, because I agree with what I've heard about not being on school property. But at the same time, if they've got 23 acres and we can locate it and have it as a separate area, you know, it's not connected to the school. I mean, it wouldn't be used for school kids during recess or things like that.
No.
It'd just be you know, in a separate area altogether. And then if they want to put up a gate going into the school, that's fine, but we should be on the outside of that gate.
Right. And I think, and again, this is just conversationally, so the Conservation Board asked me to have some of those conversations. And conversationally, Dr. Parrott has said that Claxton Elementary would want to keep the ability, for instance, if there's a field day, they would want the ability to have priority use. And, you know, this is not a everyday use, but if there's a special event, which I don't think is unreasonable. So for instance, it's, you know, like Gibbs Ferry, it's kind of a who shows up first to have a birthday party or an event or something. It would, I think the schools, you know, should have that ability. I don't see anything wrong, but of course that's going to be Conservation Board and the school board to decide that, but I think that's very reasonable. So, but yeah, I will get that to you.
Okay, thank you.
Send it to the whole board, the
Yeah, that'd be
committee
great.
operations.
Yeah,
Thank
that'd be great. ACWO Mountain View Park Sewer.
I kind of covered that earlier, unfortunately, but Commissioner
Yeah, I just
Anderson.
wanted to follow up on that for the Water Authority meeting. Some of the citizens from around there I talked to, and, you know, they obviously having issues with the smell and everything, but they had heard that maybe some new chemicals or more chemicals or different chemicals were going to get added, so there's a way if we can find out. There's a way if we can find out what's being added, or if there's something new, or maybe get a MSDS, you know, of what's going into that treatment, because they don't like what they're smelling now, but they're a little concerned about new fumes and chemical smell and that sort of thing. So as long as we just know what they're breathing in down there, I think they'd like to be reassured a little about that.
You know, this is an issue that's been ongoing for years. You know, I remember going over there and going to ACWA and talking about it and the smell. And like in my shop, when somebody comes by and I'll say, "Do you smell that?" And they say, "Yeah." I said, "Well, don't breathe it." Because it says on the label, you know, you're not supposed to, you know, breathe it, inhale it, but, you know, that's just part of it. So what are they, the people out there, what are they taking in? What are they breathing?
Well, that's a great question. You know, some of the fumes can be lethal, believe it or not, if you get too much of it. Apparently, I'm not suggesting that it is, but you know, when we've had these discussions in the past, I think it's abundantly clear that the line that was put in was too small to service it, and I'm sure that was done on a cost basis. Now it's coming back to Honus or the Water Authority or citizens, you know, and that's with the current, when the lake opens back up, it gets worse, and it's gonna get worse. So I know Commissioner McNabb's done a lot of stuff on this, and if you don't mind, Mr. Chairman, maybe have him give a little update.
Yeah, I just wanted to, I know it's been a long meeting, I'll be brief here. I've worked a lot on this issue with Commissioner Wandell, met with the residents up there. This has been going on a long time, like you said, Mr. Chairman. I was provided documentation that goes back to 2018 this weekend with issues with the Water Authority and the citizens of Brushy Valley. Citizens of Brushy Valley have been very good neighbors to the Anderson County Water Authority. I'm not so sure it's went the other way. This is affecting their quality of life. It's affecting their property values, and it could be harmful to them. It's really time that this issue stop. I was provided with some documentation from the mayor, and she could speak to this, about the Water Authority's willingness to look into this and perhaps fix it. I had conversations with them in November. They told me it was fixed. It wasn't. I've been told that they're putting some sort of cherry scented flavor in there to try to stop it. It'll knock the smell off for a couple hours and it's back. No one would want to live under those conditions that the residents of Mountain View Park are having to live in. They're good taxpayers. Really good citizens of Anderson County. I'd really like to see this get resolved. In the spirit, if there's something we can do to help as commission, let's do it. I can't get anyone to tell me what the problem is. I've asked, I've emailed, I can't get any answers. So I would just encourage this body perhaps to keep this on the operations agenda, if you all think it's appropriate, for next month, to see I understand the mayor may be having some meetings with the Anderson County Water Authority. We can maybe see that this does get resolved. I just don't want it to get lost because it has been going on a long time. And again, just, that's my thoughts, is just we keep an eye on it and see that something does get happen. And Mayor, you did have some information on that if you want to share with
Oh,
the
yeah, well, I mean, not a lot. Basically, they did say they started adjusting the flow rate. They started working on that, and then adjusting the chemical ratios. I guess it's called the feed rate into the line. They said they have done some outreach to see if it has made an impact. I did talk with one of the citizens, even as late as this afternoon, who said it had kind of died down, but now it seems to smell. Maybe there was a concern about, like, if it's a chemical. And so I did reach out. Apparently, the treatment process is an agent that is an organic compound, but we can get some more information on what exactly that organic compound is. They did say that on Friday they have a fogger that also helps, so I think that's what Commissioner McNabb is addressing there, and that actually failed, so they are working on a replacement for that. They also, one of the citizens asked about cleaning each station, and Mr. Elrod, the general manager, said in reference to routine cleaning, what the individual was describing may be the ACWA intent on cleaning each station on schedule, which does help the longevity of the pumps by reducing the chance of foreign objects being caught in the impellers. Each station has different cleaning needs, but there are opinions that the pumping of stations does help odors to some degree. So I guess they're going to be in the business of regularly doing that as well.
Okay, great.
Just a quick question. Mayor, you appoint people to the Water Authority?
Yep.
Do you appoint all of them or just one, or do you?
They will make recommendations. So usually people will apply to them, and then the board will make a recommendation to me, but it is the mayor's appointment, yes.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, I think I'd like to get a motion to people that call in from Brushy Valley and Mountain View and that into the district. There's no answer. You know, you call in and you leave a message, and it's frustrating. And I think the Water Authority could set up a specific number for these folks to address the sewer smell. In fact, I think the Water Authority should have a emergency number for when that case happens, that all citizens who have issues can call in, and then they would address it hopefully the next morning when they come in and check the message. But I'd like to make a motion that Anderson County request the Anderson County Water Authority establish a contact system for the customers of the Anderson County Water Authority to address the specific request on sewers and complaints. I'm gonna make that motion.
Okay.
I'll second.
Motion is second. Discussion on the motion.
I just wanted to add, if I'm not mistaken, don't the water authorities in Tennessee, they're regulated by TDEC under the Division of Water Resources, if I'm not mistaken?
Yes.
And they have to be compliant. So if they're not responding to you, Commissioner McNabb, or any of the citizens, I think maybe you could make complaints to TDEC.
Just one more thing for discussion. If you go to their website, I know Commissioner Foster was trying to tell someone when the meeting times were at, I think, Budget Committee meeting last month. He couldn't find it. I went on their website this afternoon. Their board members aren't listed. I mean, anyone can go look. The board members are not listed. There's, from my opinion, I'm not trying to beat up on the Water Authority. There's just some transparency issues, and people are really having a hard time with this. So, to your point, yes, I agree.
Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I just wanted to give a shout out to the assistant general manager because he always answers my phone call. John Mitchell, Jack Shelton's on the board, George Horton, and Dusty Everyone. That's the ones I talk to. And anytime I call, man, if they don't answer, they call back just almost ASAP. So I do give a shout out to those people. The newer ones I don't know that well, but these guys here, you know, especially John, I could call him right now and probably wake him up, but he'd answer his phone.
So maybe what we need to do is tell the citizens to call you, and then you can call them.
Absolutely. 865-406-2455. Yeah.
No, I agree with what you're saying.
But about, you know, calling in there, I don't know about that either. I don't call the office. I call these people individually. Because
Well,
I have their personal phone numbers.
Yeah, it's water authorities across the state of Tennessee are different. I'll just say that. They're not held to the same standards as a utility.
Mhm.
And there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure I like the reason.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem to be very productive for our citizens when they have issues.
Right.
And not calling anybody out, but you know, it's strange. I'll say that.
Mhm.
And I think the state of Tennessee needs to put some teeth into managing and overseeing the water authorities across the state of Tennessee. I think that needs to happen.
I agree with you. I agree. All right. ACWA minutes. Any discussion on that? Strategic planning update. Chairman?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioner Foster apologizes he had to leave and pick up his son. He did say that he passed out the strategic plan.
He did.
That was prepared by CTAS. He has made a copy and put it in everyone's, so the ones that are on the budget committee in their mailbox, and he will be sending out an electronic copy of that as well, I guess tomorrow. So it's hot off the press apparently, and he wanted to get that to you guys.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Unfinished business.
Yes, Chairman. We talked about this in the Highway Committee, and I wanted to ask Mayor, Road Superintendent Gary Long had said that he's prepared to go fix that parking lot where the current shelter is, where we put the fence around. He indicated he was waiting on you. He said you and him have just missed each other or something, but he's looking for the next step on what you need from him to put in the ductwork or the tile there for the entrance, and he'll put the gravel in. He's just waiting on you to give him some direction. Okay. And I just wanted to bring that to your attention.
Okay. One thing, and I meant to mention Ricky Rose too, because he always answers his phone. But the scam calls, remember when we took that up under legislative? Yeah. And while we're sitting here, during this meeting, my phone kept vibrating, and you probably felt it. Mm-hmm. Got 6 scam calls. And everybody here gets them. You probably did while I was here in the meeting. And what we had talked about is asking our state legislators to go to Congress and ask them, is there something that can be enforced? I don't know anybody that don't deal with this on a constant basis, especially people that are in business. You got to answer your phone because you never know who it is. But I would ask it, you know, we do a letter, or we ask our state legislators to take that up. Somebody make a motion on that?
I'll make a motion to have the state legislators address the scam calls that come in on a regular basis to our citizens in Anderson County.
Okay.
Second the motion.
Any other discussion on the motion?
Commissioner White mentioned in the Highway Department he had 34 calls today.
Yeah. Yep. Yep, and our good friend at WYSH, I know he's listening about this too. Anything else under unfinished business?
Got a vote on that?
Oh, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Does the public want to vote on that too? Yeah. Okay. All right. Next to be new business. Any new business come before this committee? Commissioner McCamey.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, at one time we had time available at our meetings for the public to speak, any citizen to speak. And we had that for items that were not on the agenda.
Mhm.
And here lately, we've been saying any item on or off the agenda. Why are we doing this when it's on the agenda? They're gonna speak. I mean, that would be the time for them to speak about an item that's on the agenda. And if it's something that's not on the agenda, then of course, we wanna hear about it, you know, and we can possibly even take action. But if it's on the agenda, why are they speaking, you know, at the beginning of our meeting and then wait an hour and talk
If you'll
about it
notice, I
again?
broke that rule tonight because I said, anybody wants to speak, if there's anything that's not on the agenda. Because that's the way we used to do
Yeah.
it for years, and then I think we changed it from rules, be on or off. But I agree with you.
I mean, it really gives them double time, you know, to
Mhm.
speak, and it's gonna be talked about at some point on the agenda anyway.
Mhm.
And I know that it was always just on any item that's not on the agenda, but here lately, we changed that for some reason, and they always say on or off the agenda, Chairman? And I don't know why we do that. Is that required under the TCA or anything?
Just the time for public comment, I don't think it specifies.
Well, maybe, has the Rules Committee, did they change that for some reason, or why?
I think that was Chairman's preference at the time, wasn't it?
I'm not sure, I really can't speak on that because I'm not on the Rules Committee. But that's what I have inherited. That's the way we have it now. And full commission's a little different because everything has gone through a committee, so it should have been exhaustively debated and spoken about, you know, everyone spoke about it at a committee meeting. So there shouldn't be as much discussion at full commission, because it's, everything that comes up to full commission comes through a committee, usually. So I really don't know where that came from. That's just in our rules. That's in the commission rules that the commissioners voted on and agreed upon. And so that's what we're trying to enforce. That's the job of the chair, is to follow the commission rules.
So there is a rule that says the chairman must say any item on or off the agenda?
No.
Okay.
It doesn't specifically say that, no. We have an Anderson County Board of Commissioners Rules of Procedures, and the layout is here. These are the things that we have voted on and agreed upon, how we wanted each meeting to run. And I think the Rules Committee's the ones that are, you know, trying to change some things. So I would say if that's something you want to address, maybe defer it to, or
Rules
refer
Committee.
it to Rules Committee.
Okay, I'll make that motion, Mr. Chairman, because I don't think it's fair, you know, to speak on it. And, I mean, you know, we've been here, what, 2.5 hours now? And if we're gonna let people speak, you know, and I'm all for the public being able to speak, but, you know, they can wait like the other people that are here to talk about an item that's on the agenda, and get to speak at that point. But I think that we need to conduct our meeting with, when the public is asked to speak, it be on items that are only not on the agenda.
Yep. Okay. Got a second to that, to refer it? Did you say refer or defer?
Refer.
Refer.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Wandell. Chairman?
Yes, so I just looked at this very quickly, and it does state on or not on the agenda. So it specifically states it in Rule 2, Number 6.
Okay. Well, I'd like to see that rule changed, because like I said, I don't see why we would, you know, take the time to hear it and then hear it again when we're you know, because they would be allowed to speak again when we start discussing it. So I don't understand why we ever made that rule, speaking on something that's not, you know, that's on the agenda.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Did you have something? Cap something?
I tell you what, we really had an in-depth highway committee meeting, and I appreciate that. I mean, we got a lot of things accomplished, and that's what we do at this committee. If you want to talk, you're going to talk. It's your opportunity. And when it comes to full commission, everything's supposed to be, like Commissioner McCamey said, and Chairman, it's already supposed to been spoke about. And I appreciate all these committee members that's here. Never heard anybody complain because they all like to listen to their constituents. And everyone in Anderson County, every resident is a constituent of every commissioner and of the mayor. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion, getting back to this joint meeting with the City of Oak Ridge. I'd like to make a motion that you, as the chairman of the Operations Committee, draft a letter with the mayor and the law director to request a joint meeting with the City of Oak Ridge, and I so move.
Okay. I have a motion. We have a second. Second by Commissioner Barron. Any discussion on the motion?
Do you want meeting or?
What would you call it? Workshop, sorry.
Workshop.
Workshop.
I love a
Apologize.
workshop.
Okay. All right. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Mayor, you got any input on that? Okay. All right. Motion passes unanimous. Okay. Any other new business? Motion to adjourn.
Motion adjourned.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Good job.
Thank you all for being here patiently.